Hello, and today I will be giving you a brief presentation on the planets and astronomy, which will include the history of astronomy and a brief tour of the planets in our solar system. What is astronomy? Astronomy is a branch of science that studies celestial objects such as the planets and stars, space, and the physical universe as a whole. Astronomy has been around ever since early man decided to look up into the night sky. The earliest recordings of anything astronomy related were the Mayan calendars and almanacs. They also created the tables for the movements of the sun, moon, and other planets. In 387 BC, Plato, a Greek philosopher, puts the Earth at the center of our universe. And then in 270 BC, Aristocratus of Samos puts the sun at the center of our universe. Later in 240 BC, Chinese astronomers make the first recorded sightings of Halley's Comet. In 400, the Hindu give us the average sidereal year, the length of the Earth's revolution around the sun, as 356.25 days. In 499, Indian astronomer Aryabhatta identifies the force of gravity as the reason the objects fall when the Earth rotates. He also writes that the sun gives the planets light and the Earth rotates on an axis causing day and night, and the rotation around the sun causes years. In 1054, astronomers record the sudden appearance of a bright star. The star is a crab supernova exploding. In 1543, Nicholas Copernicus publishes the theory that the Earth travels around the sun. In 1608, Hans Lipschitz tries to patent a refracting telescope. This causes the telescope industry to boom. In 1609, Johannes Kepler announces the three laws of planetary motion and replacing circular orbits with the elliptical ones. In 1610, Galileo describes observations he made with his homemade telescope. These include the spots on the sun, craters on the moon, and the moons of Jupiter. In 1655, Christian Huygens discovers the rings of Saturn. In later 1687, Isaac Newton establishes the theory of gravitation and law. In 1705, Edmund Halley calculates that the comet recorded at the 76-year intervals are the same. He predicts the comet will return in 1785. The comet is named in his honor when it appears on schedule. In 1781, amateur astronomer William Herschel discovers the planet Uranus, first mistaken as a comet, the first planet to be discovered beyond Saturn. In 1800, William Herschel splits sunlight through a prism and with a thermometer measures the energy given out by different colors. In 1801, Italian astronomer Giuseppe Piazza and William Herschel discover a dwarf planet, Sirius, between Mars and Jupiter. In 1854, Irish astronomer William Parsons completes the first great telescope, discovers the spiral structure of whirlpool galaxies. French physicists Jean Boisset and Edmond Fizeau take the first photos of the sun's surface. In 1910, William Fleming, a Scottish astronomer, publishes her discovery of white dwarfs. In 1916, German physicist Karl Schwarzschild uses Albert Einstein's theory of gravitational relativity to lay the groundwork for black holes theory. In 1930, Clyde Tombaugh discovers Pluto. And in 1958, the U.S. government establishes NASA. And a year before that, in 1957, Russia launches Sputnik 1 into orbit, making the beginning of the space age. 4 months later, the U.S. announces and launches the satellite of Explorer 1. In 1959, Russia's Lunar 3 returns the first picture of the moon's far side. And in 1961, Russia's Yuri Gagarin becomes the first person to orbit. In 1962, John Glenn becomes the first American to orbit the Earth. And in 1969, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin become the first people on the moon, causing the Americans to win the lunar race. In 1977, Voyager 1 and 2 were launched to study the Jovian system and other bodies in our galaxy. In 1981, NASA's Columbia is launched. The Hubble telescope is launched into orbit in 1990. In 2015, New Horizons spacecraft makes a successful flyby of Pluto. In 2019, just this year, China Chang'e 4 becomes the first spacecraft to perform a soft landing on the moon's far side, and the Event Horizon Telescope collaboration produces the first telescopes of a black hole, which is the center of galaxy M87. The planets and the dwarf planets. This is the guided tour of the presentation. The planet Mercury was named after the messenger of the Roman gods. A year on Mercury is 88 days, but a day is 176 days. The smallest planet in our solar system, and it has 38% the gravity of Earth. It is the second hottest planet and does not experience seasons, and it has the most craters and impact marks than the other planets. After Earth, Mercury is the second densest planet. Venus is the Roman goddess of love and beauty, the second brightest natural object in the sky, hence the nickname the morning star and the evening star. One day on Venus is longer than 1 year. Venus is sometimes called Earth twin due to the similar size. Venus rotates the opposite direction to the other planets, and due to the greenhouse effect, Venus is the hottest planet in the solar system. Venus has a very weak magnetic field, and Venus is the closest planet to Earth. Earth is our home, the only planet not named for a mythological Greek god or goddess. Instead, it is named for the Old English word Eartha, which means ground or soil. Most dense planet in the solar system, and the rotation of the Earth is gradually slowing down. In 140 million years, our day will have increased from 24 to 25 hours. The atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, and the Earth has a strong magnetic field that protects the planet from solar winds. 70% of the planet is covered in water, and due to tectonics and erosion, Earth has very few physical impact craters. Earth has one of the most circular orbits of all the planets. Mars is the Roman god of war. The landmass of Mars and Earth are very similar and is home to the tallest mountain in the solar system. It takes 687 Earth days to orbit the Sun, and like Earth, Mars has 2 polar ice caps. It has 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos, and due to the tilt of its axis, Mars seasons last twice as long. And Mars does not have a magnetic field, which scientists believe is the reason why it cannot inhabit life. Jupiter is the Roman king of gods. It has 67 confirmed moons, with Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto being the largest. Has the shortest day, lasting almost 10 Earth hours. Orbits around the Sun takes 11.86 Earth years, and has a very faint ring system around it. Does not experience seasons, and the red spot is a storm that has raged for over 300 years. If Jupiter were 80 times larger, nuclear fission would appear in its core that would cause it to become a star instead. Saturn is the father of the god Jupiter. It can be seen with the naked eye and nicknamed the ringed planet due to its rings. Has 62 known moons, with Titan and Rhea being the largest, and it's the least dense planet in our solar system. It can float on the water here on Earth. It takes almost 30 years to orbit the Sun and has storms similar to Earth and Jupiter. The reason it looks yellow is due to the ammonia crystals in its atmosphere. Uranus is the father of the god Saturn. Discovered in 1781 by William Herschel, it rotates once every 17 hours and 14 minutes. Takes 84 years to orbit the Sun. A collision may have caused the unusual tilt it has. has 13 known rings and has 27 known moons, including Oberon, Titania, Miranda, Ariel, and Umbrella. Neptune is the god of sea. Takes 165 years to orbit the Sun, second largest gravity to Jupiter, and has 14 known moons, including Triton. Has storms similar to the red spot found on Jupiter, and the second storm, the black spot, is as big as the Moon. It takes 18 hours to complete its rotation. The climate is extremely active, and it has a very faint ring system. And I will briefly be covering the dwarf planets, Pluto and Eris. Pluto was the Roman god of the underworld, discovered by Clyde Tombaugh on February 18, 1930, and in 2006 it was reclassified to a dwarf planet. It takes 256 years to orbit the Sun. Pluto has 5 known moons: Charon, Styx, Nix, Kerberos, and Hydra. It's smaller than many moons, and Pluto and its moon Charon form a binary system, meaning they are locked to each other in orbit. Either Pluto or Eris is the largest dwarf planet. And finally, Eris, the Greek goddess of strife and discord. Eris has one moon named Dysnomia. All of the objects in the asteroid belt could fit inside Eris. Eris' atmosphere sometimes freezes due to lack of sunlight, and scientists believe that the surface is rocky like Pluto. Eris and its moons are currently the second most distant known natural objects in the solar system. I hope you have enjoyed my presentation on the history of astronomy, and I hope you have enjoyed my short guided tour of the planets in our solar system. Thank you for watching my presentation.